Following content is presented for entertainment and educational purposes only. It is not intended as advice, but as a lens, a challenge to look again at what you've been told. You are under no obligation to agree. In fact, you're encouraged not to. Think for yourself, question deeply, do your own research. In a world where silence is mistaken for consent and apathy is treated as agreement, awareness becomes the rebellion. Never acquiesce to a narrative simply because it's repeated. The moment you choose to observe rather than obey, you begin to reclaim your sovereignty. There's a rule in the occult, a quiet one. It says if you declare your intentions and no one objects, you are free of consequence. Not because it's moral, because it's technical. Karmic law doesn't care if you were asleep. Consent is consent, even when it's uninformed. So they show you everything. And they count on you not noticing. You think they're hiding it? No. They want you to know. That's the trick. It's called revelation of the method. A twisted form of karmic consent. They don't silence the truth, they announce it, not in a whisper but in a shout, disguised as a joke, a film, a product launch, or a speech you didn't take seriously. Because in their world, if they show you and you do nothing, if you mock it, ignore it, or scroll past it, then your silence is your signature. You didn't resist, so you agreed. This is not a conspiracy theory, it's a spell woven into culture, a karmic loophole, where disclosure becomes immunity. They flip natural law on its head, not by forcing you to obey, but by making you choose not to care. You've seen it, you've laughed at it, you've said that's crazy and kept moving. That's the genius, because while you're brushing it off as entertainment, they're confirming the next phase of the operation. They told you they'd watch everything. You paid for the device, you stood in line for it, you sleep next to it. You share your secrets with it. They said it's a phone, it's a tracking beacon, and you agreed. They told you medicine would evolve past the soul, the treatment would become chemistry, and healing would be managed by protocol. You celebrated every breakthrough while they sterilized the spirit out of science. And now they're offering updates for your biology, DNA editing as a subscription service. You don't own your hardware anymore. They told you war would be silent. Not with bombs, but with data. Not with armies, but with influence. And now your enemy wears no uniform, it wears a logo. It sells you your own leash, and you put it on with pride. They told you everything in movies. You think Hollywood is fiction? No, it's ritual, it's priming. It's softened truth, hidden in stylized distortion. The Matrix showed you, not just the control system, but the choice illusion. You picked red or blue, but forgot that both pills came from the same hand. They Live gave you the sunglasses, showed you the frequency distortion, the consumer hypnosis, and you laughed at the graphics. Wall-E showed you the end game of consumption, a bloated, screen-fed species waiting for instructions. V for Vendetta mapped the playbook. Fake crisis, fake cure, fear-fueled control. You loved the story, memorized the quotes, and then walked right into the sequel. And they kept telling you the 2012 Olympic ceremony, giant hospital beds, dancing viruses, masked figures moving under the eye of death. Art? Sure. But who is the audience? Event 201, a live simulation of a global pandemic, held just months before the real one. What are the odds? They told you about transhumanism, Musk, Schwab, Harari. These aren't madmen in basements, they're keynote speakers. They say the age of humans is over. The future is digital biology. And you nod because they said it calmly, professionally, in TED Talk font. They told you truth would become extremism, that questioning the narrative would be dangerous, that free speech would be rebranded as hate speech. They told you your kids would be different, that mental health would be managed by screens, that schools would stop teaching and start conditioning. And you watched it happen, gradually, comfortably. Do you think they're subtle? No, they're brazen, because they know most people don't want truth. They want relief, they want distraction, they want whatever keeps them from looking directly into the fire. They don't need to agree, they just need to disengage. You didn't argue, you didn't research, you didn't act. So they say we told them, they did nothing. It's not a secret code, it's a ritual of consent. In the language they use, symbol, frequency, repetition. You are shown, you are entertained, you are softened. And then it becomes reality. And you don't notice the shift because it came dressed as entertainment, as progress, as safety. But here's the thing, now you're aware, and awareness breaks the spell. The moment you stop laughing at your own conditioning, you begin to see it. In logos, in headlines, in scripts, in songs, you begin to hear the tone underneath the joke. You notice how many times a lie has to be repeated to start sounding normal. You feel the manipulation before it's explained, and then the spell cracks. You were never in the dark. You were trained to keep your eyes closed. You were never powerless. You were tricked into outsourcing your responsibility. Because the more they tell you, the less they fear you. And when you finally say, I see it, I revoke it, I do not consent, the machine loses its grip. You're not reacting, you're deciding. You're not submitting, you're observing. And with observation comes detachment. With detachment comes clarity. With clarity comes power. This isn't paranoia, it's precision, liberation. Because the scariest truth is this. They told you. You just didn't listen. But now you do. Humanfluence, out.